Hey, good morning, guys. This is my second attempt at my morning video. I guess maybe I didn't like the way the first one came out, but I wanted to touch on a couple things. Recap last night for you, kind of tell you where I'm at today. I'm actually on the move. Usually I sit down and park it, but I did that already when I did the first one and waited for the daylight to come up. So I got an early start today. Yesterday with the rain, I didn't quite make the Indiana border like I wanted to, so I had to make up some time today. So got an early start, walking through the dark, and I'm on the Route 30 bypass. This is kind of the four-laner. It's a little more dangerous because you just saw the trucks roaring by just a few feet away. But Lincoln Highway, the old Lincoln Highway that I would normally walk, can't do it at nighttime in the dark because, well, here I have the shoulder is probably 6.5, 7 feet wide. This is probably the biggest I've had at any part of my journey. The part over here that's just meeting up with us right now, there's literally, 1.5 feet at best, and in the dark I'm not going to chance that. So I've been on the main drag here today. Anyway, yesterday I went to a town of Convoy, Ohio, and had a pretty nice experience with the folks in Convoy. And earlier when I talked about when I made my video, I was sharing about several discussions Chris and I had. Chris is the gentleman who allowed me to stay at his place last night. Him and his wife Melissa. It was her idea and offer, but he was the one that kind of babysat me most of the time. So Melissa was able to get home, but he's also a coach in town. I was able to spend some time with him. But it was neat. I was just trying to give you a background of them, and really great family. Chris and Melissa are both fourth grade teachers. The difference is they have different challenges. Melissa's a teacher out here in our hometown school district, and Chris actually travels up to Fort Wayne, where I'm heading now, and it's a little bit of a socioeconomic, a little bit lower income area. So with that comes different challenges in terms of parent involvement, things kids have access to at home in order to do their homework. And it was just interesting seeing the differences of what some of the challenges are. And then we talked about a couple of maybe social issues that are going on up that way. And I tried to touch on them in my previous stream here, but I don't know. Maybe it didn't come out the way I wanted it to, or what. But I figured maybe I'd either save that for the book or maybe a more substantive talk. But Chris and Melissa are pretty special people. Both the fourth grade teachers, both their boys athletes, played football at Bowling Green University, and both are going into nursing. Both about to finish up. And man, I've been trying to teach my kids or steer them in the direction of medical and nursing because it's an amazing thing that nurses do. Caring, compassionate, but there's always a need. We're all living longer, and we just keep population growing, and there's always going to be a need. So I really admire them for that. But I talked about a couple of things that I'm sharing with them. Sometimes the right words at the right time just kind of snap folks out or make them see things differently. And sometimes with kids, you never know when that's going to be, but it's great when it does happen. So Chris and Melissa's youngest. His 9th grade year, he maybe didn't take his grades as serious as he could have or should have. And then he realized he wanted to be a college football player and get on with things. And just like anything else, physical fitness, school and anything, when you start high, it's easier to maintain that level than it is to have to raise the bar. If you set the bar low and you got to raise it, you got to work 3 times as hard to get it up there. And it's kind of what he did. I don't think he set it that low, but his son really pushed hard, and it was at a football camp, and it was some words from Urban Meyer that clicked with him. And it's funny how it could be the same exact words his parents have been telling him for years even, and didn't really sink in. But when somebody else says it, and kind of maybe that's what I'm kind of hoping a little bit with my point of thumb, that maybe one day down the road somebody gets into a situation and says, what, let me ask myself what I could have, should have done. And that's kind of my hope as I go forward. So, and the other thing I really loved about Chris and Melissa were I really like people that are real. I like people that are self-aware. A lot of people plenty of people out there that have had a good childhood, a good upbringing, went to college, took their degree, applied it, got a job they like, have the family, and everything's great. But that's not the case for everybody. And I think it's okay when you can admit some of your challenges, maybe not even challenges, but just admit that I was lost there for a little while. And that's kind of Chris's case. He went off to college, came from a small town, watched his mom and dad in the business world get their plant closed down or transferred to another division, and mergers and acquisitions, and kind of just get cast aside. And during this time, Chris went off to college, maybe didn't take it as serious as he should, and after about a year or so said, hey, this isn't for me, and came back home and got a job working in factories and warehouses, things like that. Busted his ass. He was about 27 when he decided to get out of that and realize what his passion was. A little bit later than a lot of people, but realized his passion was to want to be a teacher. So at that point, though, he's married and has a kid, and it's a hard thing to do, to leave something and have the tenacity to pursue. So 27-year-old, he's working full-time, and he is going to school full-time and trying to be a dad and a parent and a husband and juggle a lot of things. And that says a lot about the character of the man right there. But he went out and got it done and been teaching since. And so, when you find your calling, and maybe in some small way, I found mine at 50 years old here, that, I want to make a difference, and maybe that's just what I always wanted to do. And I guess I always tried to do it on a small level with just the people around me and the few people I managed and worked with. But now maybe I want to take it on a grander scale, and I don't know. But it was just great to talk with him, and I go back to that book, The Right Words at the Right Time, and that meant a lot. There's another issue I'm not going to talk about just yet. I do apologize. I asked him to send a picture because in our haste, not our haste, but just our conversations, I forgot to get a picture of us all, which I feel bad about. But so the other, like I said, the kids are certainly making their parents proud, and a great family. Something else came up yesterday I wanted to talk about, and it's going to tie into Convoy, actually. But so I got to Convoy, and I sat down at this restaurant, and only a few folks were there, and then a few more came in, and everybody kind of welcomed me. Some had heard about me, some hadn't, but really just made me feel at home. It wasn't a big town. Melissa asked if I had a place to stay, and I told her I hadn't, and she said, well, you can stay with us, I'll let Chris know. Chris came up to meet me, found there was a football coach, and so they had their first day where all the kids here in town, they have multiple teams, 5 teams or so. It's just one school, and they're all practicing on the same field, which is really neat. So the kids can see where they're going to aspire to coach-wise, stay together, kind of a neat thing. And I said, well, maybe I'll go up to a football practice. So before I did, I was having a soda, and I think Michelle gave me the remote for the TV. I don't get to watch a lot of TV these days, and I miss my sports, so right away I turn on my ESPN, and right there in the bottom of the scroll is this thing saying that LeBron James, for some reason is polarized in his heck, I don't know why, has finally opened up his school that he dreamt about opening in his hometown of Akron for at-risk children. And I think it's amazing. But it bothered me a little bit because, we talk about some of the silliest stuff in sports, and here you got a guy that's opening up a school, and I think should be celebrated to no end. And while it was recognized on a little scroll on the bottom, why wouldn't that get 10 minutes on a sports channel? Why couldn't we highlight that stuff? Maybe it's not as newsworthy as some guy, getting in trouble with the law, or some girl speaking out and about, whatever improprieties on her team. And I'm not saying that, I don't mean that I'm thinking about some soccer players and stuff that have maybe said a comment offhand that they regretted or tweeted. But I mean, we always seem to highlight, just like the news, it's always filled a lot with more negative than positive. And I just thought, what a shame. This guy, all he ever does is get compared to Michael Jordan. And how about we just compare him to LeBron James and just, another human being. And sure, he's the greatest player in the world right now, but he didn't take his money and do nothing with it. He's trying to make change, and change is good, especially for the positive. So I applaud him for that. So I then go down to practice, and I'm sitting down there watching Chris and the different teams, and I'm talking to a Father Paul on the sideline. Nice young man. Got kids, I think, in on the varsity team, some kids on the third and fourth grade team, but telling me about the program. And there's a young man out there coaching, young, when I say young, younger than me, probably early 30s, mid 30s, built like a rock. And I come to find out that gentleman's name is Corey Lichtensteiger, and he was a former NFL player, played 8 years in the NFL, most of them with the Redskins. And I went back into town after the practice was still going on, and sat down, and people were talking about Corey and saying, look, he's just the nicest guy you can meet, And athletes, we talk about athletes, and we so often, again, focus on negative or just care about salaries or stats. And, Corey played 8 years in the NFL. I don't know what kind of money he made or has, or that doesn't really matter. The heart and soul of a person, the character is what matters. And, I don't think anybody would be mad at all or disappointed if, Corey made his life down, maybe around the city where he played, and he had some roots down there and had connections, and who knows what he wanted to get into in terms of a future in broadcast or anything like that. But Corey came back to his hometown. Convoy, Ohio has one school, not one high school, has one school, and he could big time people, but he's out there coaching his old high school team. And these are the things that I'm sure he's not the only one. There's probably many players of every facet in the country that do that. But you don't really hear about that. It's very rare that you hear about those stories. And I think that's a shame. Again, this is what I hope. If you guys know people like that, share the story. That's what I want this platform to be. And I was fortunate enough when, after practice, I guess they all kind of meet at this place. And Corey was sitting down with his family and having some dinner. And Michelle, one of the waitresses, or bartenders rather, came over and introduced me. And he generally, listened to what I was doing. And, he didn't have to do that. He was very polite to me. And then when I guess dinner was over for them, he could have got up and left, but he came over to Chris, who was sitting down at the bar talking to me, and we were having a nice conversation. Just spent 10 minutes talking with me and about me, not about him, not about his career. It wasn't about anything else. I knew my son would love the picture, but took a picture with me for the website, and so I got a picture of him, Chris, and I. And again, I just think that we don't recognize and we don't publicize these great people, and that's what I'm trying to do with this website. So, bravo to you, LeBron James, for doing what you did. Continue doing it. Bravo to Corey for, coming back to his hometown and giving back to the community. I think that's awesome. And and to everybody else that's out there, plugging away every day, giving of themselves in small ways, volunteering, helping me out. Just special people, and I kind of want to recognize that. So. I'm going to delete the other morning video. It's kind of in the dark anyway, quite honestly. But I'm going to delete the other morning video, give you guys this one. It's not as substantive, but I got a late start in the day. I didn't have a lot of roadside, and I was out of service most of the day. So it wasn't a lot to talk about there, just some really good people, some really good conversation. I was blessed last night to get to watch my Phillies a little bit on TV. They lost again to the Red Sox. Unfortunately, I made a wager with a Red Sox fan that it's a 2-game series, and if they lose both games, I've got to wear a Red Sox jersey one day out here on the road, so that won't be pretty. And that's about it, guys. So to my kids who have been supportive through this whole journey, I love you guys so much. I know there are times right now I'm trying to battle some stuff, but your guys' support has just been everything to me. So Kira, Grace, Landon, I love you. To the few dozen people that have been with me from the jump here, thank you guys so much, and I love you. I need your support, and I'll find a way to get through this to the end, and we'll go from there. Oh, I didn't tell you about Glenda. Glenda is Chris's aunt. She's been a world traveler. He called her up. She's 82 years old. Said, hey, can you come talk to this guy about the West, bring your map? She was over in 3 minutes. I don't have enough time to talk enough about her, but again, it should be a big part of the book. Thank you, Glenda, for giving me your time yesterday. Love you guys. Have a great day. I'll keep you updated as we go. I'm heading on to Fort Wayne. I'm probably about 12, 13 miles out of Fort Wayne right now. and we're banging away. Guys, take care.